I am ready to go. I've got a weird New Jersey right here that
Amazing.
I'm just for moral support.
Perfect. Awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Welcome in. Thanks so much for listening to the Sarah Normal Activity. I'm Sarah, and with me today, I am very psyched and excited when he suggested this topic. My friend Phil Casale, who is an actor, a writer, and New Jerseyan. And today we're going to
Right.
talk about, right?
Yep.
New Jerseyan, and we're going to talk about weird New Jersey. We're going to talk about weird stuff that has happened in town.
That's that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh I well, thank you, Sarah, for welcoming me aboard. I feel very lucky to be the person to talk about this because it was a huge part of my adolescence because it like showed up just as my friends got cars.
Yes,
Um
that must be
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. It really added to like before Stranger Things came out, I was like, there should be a show where it's like a bunch of people in a beat up Buick going to haunted places.
Yeah.
Um,
Kids on bikes.
but yeah, but it's kids on bikes. That's fine. It's way less money than
Mhm.
getting different kinds of the same beat up Buick. Um, yeah. So, what do you know about Weird New Jersey? Not the. What do you know about? Are you familiar with the magazine?
So yeah, it's limited. I do live currently. I do live in New Jersey. I don't want to dox myself,
Ah,
but I do live in New
nice.
Jersey. I've lived in New Jersey about 2 years. But I'm familiar in a general sense. I'm familiar with the magazine because I know that the guy who started it is a improviser.
Yeah.
So
One of the yeah.
one of the started, right?
Uh,
The guy who started or
yeah,
guy that writes for it.
Chris
Heather.
Gethard was one of the contributors
Yeah. So
for the
I
yeah.
kind of came to it through him and would sort of like be aware of some of those things. So I'm aware of like obviously the Jersey Devil and like I spent some time a couple of Halloweens ago, a friend of mine and I went up Shades of Death Road
Oh, love Shades of Death.
and we went to Ghost Lake and it was just really lovely. It was a very lovely day. It was like just the most beautiful drive. It
I
was the
know.
most like Shades of Death Road is it's just like winding and beautiful in autumn. It was just gorgeous. It was
I know.
beautiful.
I'm yearning for a day to have that before Halloween, but because due to my schedule, I do not think that's going to happen, and
Yeah.
it breaks my heart.
And for people
Yeah,
at home, Shades of Death Road, the all of the street signs are just poles, just painted on poles because there's no way they could keep a sign for theirs.
yeah,
The street, yeah, the street signs were always getting robbed. So,
yeah.
so no
That's Jersey.
problem.
Um, yeah, it was so weird. My friend in high school one day showed me this magazine called Weird New Jersey, and it's twice a year. This magazine that shows you it has like haunted houses, haunted streets, chicken cutlets that look like New Jersey, trees that look like penises, and tributes to characters like Waving Willie, who's just a guy who waves from his lawn chair at people. Um, and sometimes like, detailed explorations of abandoned houses. And it really like excited all of us because like we were just getting our cars. So this was like the thing to do. It was before GPSs and it was before cops were aware that kids knew about these things. Um, and so we would just go exploring. And yeah, like the Jersey Devil is a huge part of the lore, but that being the Pine Barrens, we all knew to stay away because also at the time the Sopranos were being filmed and the Pine Barrens episode is always in the forefront of my mind of like, oh, one wrong turn and I'm stuck there in the because it's just like a giant wasteland basically of woods. And Jersey Devil is uh I was going to try and shoot a feature for like my public access TV station, but I was talked out of it by my producer, aka my father, and kind of heartbreaking. But
Hmm.
I got in a few adventures and scraps.
Very cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Um,
There's a on the way to the shore. My boyfriend's parents have a place down the shore, and so on our way to visit, the last time we went, we stopped. We like went via the Pine Barrens, and we stopped at a place called Lucille's, which is like a famous diner. there.
Yeah.
And they have leaned very heavily into. Didn't grab the sweatshirt. I'll post a picture of the sweatshirt. But I got a sweatshirt saying I dined with a devil, and they have like a giant like New Jersey Devil like statue in front. It's very funny.
Oh man,
Food,
that's
food's
that's a
okay.
bucket list thing for me.
Good pies.
Cool. Good. 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 I'll keep that in mind
Yeah.
when I go exploring.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we lived so near my town. There was what everybody thought was an abandoned asylum, but really it was a cancer ward that was used to film A Beautiful Mind. So like we'd always see it, and it was always lit, always empty, very frightening on the hill. And once A Beautiful Mind came in to start filming, it was always lit at night. And so we're like, what's going on in there? And that's just where Russell Crowe
Hmm.
hallucinated Paul Bettany. Nothing really too fancy. But there was a few like my town has Little Willie's grave, which is a cursed grave of a baby that like maybe I think was born for like a few days, but like the statue is that of a baby. It's a baby sitting on top of the grave, and they say if you rub its head, bad things will happen.
Okay.
Um, I rubbed it when I was like 22, 23, and then a few years later, uh, I I don't know. Really, nothing really happened. I was searching for something, but
Yeah.
I like to think it was I rubbed his head out of honor. It wasn't disrespect. It was
Right.
more like I think the intent is there. There's other cursed places like the Devil's Tree, which they've been trying to tear down for decades. Um, in Hackettstown, there's this massive tree that is just deep in the ground. Like they've tried to hack it to pieces to get rid of it, but it won't go down. And they say if you pee on it, you'll get into a horrible car accident. I didn't pee on it because, I mean, I don't know. Car accidents are scary.
Yeah, no, you don't need that.
No one needs that. I wouldn't pee on a giant tree that refuses to die. Like, why would I? I'm rooting for that guy. No pun intended. Yeah, we had like in my neighboring area, there were a few mental institutions that were closed down,
Hmm.
and one of them had just kind of been torn down. And as a prank, my my buddy Mike made our group go, but he would like he kind of like gaslit our one friend into believing there were escaped patients in the woods, and he invented a fake story about it. He called it Pescador Plains institution, and so we would explore there, and none of us would really know. Uh, we didn't know that it was the name of the asylum that Sarah Connor is locked up in Terminator 2
Oh, it's
until
the
the end
same.
of the day.
Oh,
It wasn't in the movie. He just named it that and told us that it was like a place where there were escaped mental patients. And we went and nothing happened. And we made
hmm.
fun of him. And then years later he was like, "Yeah, I made it up." And we're like, why would you go to all that trouble and then get upset that we're making fun of you about your lie? Like you made us believe that this was a frightening place.
Amazing.
He now writes essays on airport security in magazines. I don't so take that what you will. Take that.
Take
But
that
yeah,
with
like
brand assault.
the magazine was my favorite because it was all attainable goals.
Hmm.
Like other magazines, it's like, well, I'll never hang out with whatever celebrity was interviewed that week in whatever magazines. Do you remember magazines
I
like
do.
paper?
Hmm. The last one I bought was like $7 and it was very dumb. I think I got it for like like a train trip, and I was like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Once they hit $5, it's over.
Yeah, forget it.
I get it. It's just
But
sad.
but Weird New Jersey you still get?
I still get it. I bring it home when I'm when I go to visit my parents. If like I didn't buy the issue that just came out, but I will as soon as I can escape to New Jersey to get my giant devil puppet for Welcome to Hell.
Hmm.
Um which for those of you at home, Welcome to Hell is a horror comedy talk show that is having its 13th anniversary on Wednesday the 30th. I don't know when this is going to come out.
Oh, I'm
Um,
probably put this out. I mean, I could put it out probably sooner than later.
all right,
The next
sounds
couple of
good.
days. Yeah.
But I have a devil in my basement that we actually stole from another show. We didn't steal it; it was given to us, and I have to go down there and get it. But when I do, I'm going to buy another one,
Well,
another Weird New Jersey. Like this is just like a look at what like. Oh shit! I disappeared. I'm not showing you my bedroom. I'm sorry, guys. It's not happening. But it's one of those like, they'll just take pictures of like empty buildings and
Mhm.
tell reader submitted stories about the time they were chased by orbs or things like that. And
Mhm.
I, it's like catnip to me. We used to go exploring. I had a group on MySpace, and actually, this was a point of contention for the two men who run Weird New Jersey. Is that I beat them to the punch in getting a very busy, bustling MySpace Weird New Jersey group, and we would
Ooh.
like. I didn't mean to. I was available. I
There
and
there
also
was a
MySpace.
need. Supply and
Yeah,
demand, motherfucker.
exactly. And I offered to give it to them, but like MySpace had no admin.
hmm
There was no way. And I emailed them numerous
It
times
was
and
a
they
Wild
never got
West.
back to me.
Yeah.
It was the laziest emails I'd ever sent. Um, because I didn't want to give it back to them. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Not sorry. But we used to schedule hikes or meets. We'd go to places, and there was a place we would like. We went exploring, and it was this like, I think it was a school or an asylum, probably a hospital or something.
Yeah.
And we get into this room that's full of maps, and as things are getting quiet, like we hear people above us, and yeah, it was like the first time we'd ever done that where
So who's
we
with you
went
and
to.
like how old are you? And how are you
I'm like,
seating?
so I'm 22. I'm with my girlfriend at the time, and I'm with like three other people, one of which this girl we'll just call um we'll just call her Rhonda. I don't know.
Great.
That's not her name at all. But it's I have to name her differently because um well, we'll get into it. But we went exploring
T.
and we had to leave because it was a little scary. And Rhonda, it turns out, uh, her family owned a part of a certain cop town in Essex County, and Rhonda was sending me risque messages. Now, I was in a relationship and I was not interested, but she then told her boyfriend that she was sending those things to me, who then would call me and threaten me, and I'm like, I want nothing to do with either of you. And then he tried to hire my own friend to beat me up at another bar that I would go to, because then she would start going to my karaoke bars on drugs that she claimed she took from the abandoned place that we had explored. Um, why you do that? I don't know. I don't
Rhonda.
know.
Rhonda.
Rhonda, stop it.
Rhonda. This place
Yeah,
is
and
abandoned
that
for a reason.
yeah, seriously. And that was the end of the MySpace group.
Okay.
Because I just didn't need any more stress or drama.
Mm-mm.
She ruined it for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, and apparently beat up an entire police squad. But I mean, they're all retired cops in that town, so the
Yeah.
difficulty level is super low. Um,
What up? So can I let me just backtrack just a tiny bit. So
yeah, sorry,
and it's
just rambling.
always the like the danger with like urban exploration of any kind. And I will watch like tons of that stuff of people just like walking
Oh, me too.
scary places and abandoned places. And it's like, a lot of times it's just like, oh, I can hear somebody walking in the room. It's a ghost. But it's like, it
Yeah,
could just be a person who lives there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it's
yeah,
like and it's like, are they afraid of you? Are you afraid of them? Are they strapped? Like they got a knife? Like, what are they,
yeah. Or it could be some local who's trying to have fun. Like there was another street that in Jersey called Clinton Road. that is
Yes.
like home to a lot of urban legends. It has a very frightening 90-degree turn that they say if you drop a penny down like off the ledge into the water, you'll never hear the penny fall. It's a 10-foot drop. You can hear the penny, but like I've never tried because it's a 90-degree turn on a busy road. Don't need it.
Hmm.
But when I was in college, I met a girl who would she had a gang of friends that would dress up and harass people on the road at night because they were from that part of that town. And it was like it was a great like eye-opening experience of me of the like maybe myths don't exactly exist, but it's our responsibility to keep them alive and to keep
Yeah.
people scared.
Yeah. And
Which
it's
which
like,
they did.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, what are the chances? Like, there's a number of people who are like going there for that experience. So, like, and there are some people who like are not looking for that experience and they've had
No.
it.
No, and now they also have a story, whether they like
Hmm.
it or not.
Hmm.
So, it's the way that like certain celebrities turn it on for people in public settings. I mean, you go to Clinton Road, you're going to get an experience. So, which is great. I've gone down that a number of times. I've never been assaulted or harassed,
So
but
what is
really
the
fun.
legend of Clinton Road? Like, what happened there? What is the?
Uh, there's a mansion somewhere in the woods that was home to a Satan worshiper,
Mm.
and there was a murder in that area that was attributed to satanic panic in the 80s. Um, the thing though with Weird New Jersey or with any local legend is anything is satanic panic in the 80s. It's like you know the densest state in the country. You're going to run into, oh, this guy killed his family in the name of Satan and then himself with an axe. And it's like, did he kill himself with the axe or his family or both?
Yeah.
And how? I assume there's some sort of spring-loaded mechanism with that. But yeah, it's a lot of that. There is I forget the name of the mansion, which makes me a bad guest, but it exists off the beaten path in Clinton Road. Another place that's nearby is Ringwood Manor, which I've been to in the morning and at night, and I saw an orb. That was cool. Ringwood Manor is like frightening old timey estate that has a hiking trail and it has like statues, and it is very well kept, but it is haunted as fuck. Highly recommend that one.
What
I
was Ridgewood Manor before? Was it just like a
I
person's home?
it was just a person's home. I never really got the full extent of the story, but like I just know from going there because we used to listen like we were not fun kids. We were nerds. We would play the Lord of the Rings soundtrack and then go driving and try to land the music cues with our driving. And 9 times out of 10, like we would get in really tense chases when like the orcs music would play. And it was always me behind the wheel. So I just being from Jersey, I just have a natural way to instigate stuff, make stuff happen by
Hmm.
not really without thinking.
Hmm.
So yeah, when we weren't specifically investigating these things, we were just like, how can we get to the pretty part of town before the Hobbiton theme plays? So we can all be like, hey, look what we did. Isn't that fun? Because we're all like cinematic. Well, I'm the only one who went to film school, but they all have lives and families. So go
But
figure.
you want to have that experience. You want that
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I miss that. I feel like the part of that died with my first car was like an old beat up Cadillac, and I feel like it was attuned our to our psyches. Like it would land the music on our on my CD box that was like on shuffle like perfectly. Not exclusive to Lord of the Rings. It was just one of those like really just it was a magic car. Like
yeah.
there's nothing
It
like
was
now you want to
it was like a Christine for you.
yeah, it was.
And it
She
killed your
saved my life.
rivals.
Yeah, killed my rivals. It saved my life by in a snowstorm once. And that was the end of it. I still see white Cadillacs along the road, and I think like one of two things. One, how is that still going? Because it's like a 30-year-old car. Two, that's my car. Like it's like ghosts watching me.
Yeah.
Um, and I love that. Um, but so Ringwood Manor is actually it's a Revolutionary War estate.
Mhm.
It was active during then, and there was like kind of a battlefield uh zone, or it was like a zone of battle. Uh, and so there's that. I absolutely 100% believe those types of places are haunted. Not necessarily by like I think I don't know. What is your feelings on hauntings? Do you believe it's a person, or do you believe it's an energy or an echo?
I think it's all of those things. I think residual energy is kind of like that to me is like the most like potent and powerful is like that sort of like leftover, you know, um the energy of a person who sort of just like lived there and imprinted their spirit or their soul or their, essence on a place. What, whether it was a very good, whether they had very good times or very like strong emotions, good or bad. Um, but then I also kind of do believe in like a little bit of there are people maybe like the veil between living and the dead is like a little bit thinner here and there. I just remember because I have like I don't know I do believe in some of like the EVP stuff that I've heard where like a person a ghost hunter was like in this in the South in this like living room saying like hello where are you, and you hear this woman say I'm in the room, where are you, and it's like these two people like talking back and forth to this long dead woman, and it's like weird ghost to them in a way. I don't know. Um, yeah, I believe in all of it. And I also believe that there is a concept of like there are like ghosts and then there's like spirits who to me are like something that is like was never human and sort of also
Yeah,
exists on the same plane. That's
yeah,
my idea.
and
What do you think?
demonic. Yeah,
Oh,
I kind of agree with that. I try to make sense of you know it's just there's certain things that we can't see.
mhm,
Every once in a while, like my family is very in tune with that. I don't really have a lot of experience myself. A few things here and there, like seeing an orb.
mhm,
Um, but my mother and my sister, uh, I think are probably like the biggest conduits. Like my sister thinks her room is a gateway, her childhood room. She would always think like she claimed that there were little people, who would kind of like come in and out, like it was like a transit hub. And I know we have like a stone facade in our house, and I'm like, is it possible that one of these stones is like resonates between worlds, and that's the reason why?
mhm.
Like to try. It's funny, like to try and logic something so fantastical, but yeah,
Why not? Right?
best you can. Yeah, and my mother always sees people. Like she'll be sitting around watching TV, and she'll see someone like an older. Usually, it's like people passing through the kitchen. And my cousin also has that same ability. There used to be a lot of Ouija board things going on with my family, and my mother's side would often like force my sister to use it because they were like she was the better medium. Because my grandmother, it goes way back. My grandmother was a medium of
Hmm.
sorts, and she would always go to like a séance, and they would always turn their attention to her, and she would become the medium that night. And it was very exhausting to her. But she had access to it. Some people just
Wow.
didn't, and that was her thing. But
Wow.
and so that it kind of it sort of is it's a generational thing with them. But I spot nice deals on vintage jackets. That's my talent. Every once in a while, like I'll see a tail in like a corner somewhere of my old cat Clovis, and
Hmm.
that's about it. And I'm glad because I love him and I miss him, and so
Yeah.
it's good to see he's still bouncing around.
Yeah, still being
Um,
cozy.
yeah, yeah.
Have you ever like done anything to try to like kind of get in touch with your mediumship, or have you ever, because there are definitely like spiritual like schools and stuff.
I'm frightened of that. I like living in the fantasy world of knowing just enough to know enough, and to not know the truth.
Hmm.
I kind of like the ignorance, but oh, this is kind of a recurring theme in my life. That's the reason why I don't look at my bank balance. But it, it's like I don't really want. I would like to know. I don't want to know either way because I'm afraid of what that would entail. Like it's a door that I can't close, like, and maybe one day I'll need to open that door, but like until that day comes, I'm just going to be like kind of just a cheerleader for my sister and my mother.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
If you don't need it, don't go there, especially yeah, and if you're not ready
yeah,
emotionally to kind of run over to the other side and check things out,
yeah. I
take a
kind
minute.
of like, yeah. But I do feel like my house has some sort of like gateway to it. Like when they first found the house, and they opened the door, my father claims that he felt as though someone like they opened the door in the middle of a party, and they felt like there was a bunch of faces like looking at them, like, what are you doing here? Um, and it was interesting because the house that my parents live in is a house that belonged to an older couple that my grandfather used to take care of when he was a cop in my town. Um, and they were apparently very nice people, and like he didn't need to be as nice to them as he was, but he was very like he it was like a surrogate parent thing for him, and he took good care of them. And then, but when they left or when they passed away, um, it seemed like the house was haunted, but like not by them. And so that's kind of where I feel like either it was there before them or it happened after, or like
Yeah.
there's just something to do with in that house. My brother sees things too. He used to see things outside of the house, in the backyard. He used to claim that he would see like a creature, like a shadow creature, or he says like a goblin hanging on his place on like his swing set, climbing around it. Um, and also he was a weird little kid because he had a birthmark. He's a weird adult too, but when he was a kid, he was also weird. He had a birthmark on his stomach, and it was here, but on his back he had it was like kind of matching in a perfect line, the same one. And when he was like 3 or 4, my sister like found it and touched it and was like, "What is this?" And he like just went off about how he was a cowboy, or a dream he had that he was a cowboy, and he was shot, and they shot his horse.
Oh.
And I'm like, how would a 3-year-old come up with this? Because like I mean, granted, I showed him Evil Dead 2 at a too young age, but there are no cowboys in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah. That's
And
badass.
it's pretty cool. Like
That's fun.
and it that's kind of the part that makes me want to like investigate my own potential, but I'm also just a scaredy cat.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they happened into their stuff easy, and I feel like I'm gonna have to unlock mine by some means, and that uh you know it'll happen if it happens
Yeah,
when it happens.
I've always wanted to have that kind of ability. I know that no one in my family does not have that. I tried to do this the dumbest thing. I tried to do a past life regression over on a like I tried to use like a YouTube video to do a past life regression. But as I was like going deep and getting hypnotized, I got smacked with a Subway commercial. So I was like the most relaxed I've ever been in my entire life. And then it was like, it was insane. It was insane. I was outside of my skin. I was like, all right,
That's incredible.
gotcha.
That's so yeah, I pay for YouTube Premium out of necessity
I do now.
because
I do now too.
yeah,
Yeah.
when I lived in Los Angeles, I lived like triangulated by like 3 or 4 Scientology buildings, like the TV Center, the Celebrity Center, the Big Blue Church, and then like a whole slew of buildings off my main street that I was living on. And
Hmm.
so I would only get Scientology ads. And it got to the point where I was like, I have no money in my account. I will pay for YouTube Premium to get these guys out of my house.
Hmm.
And I have not looked back. It's been great doing binaural beats meditations,
Hell yeah.
uninterrupted by the subway demon.
Love it.
Yeah. Have you experienced like hauntings in your life, or like have you been to like in your personal space, or have you gone to
Yeah,
places?
I mentioned this to your beloved. I had one
Oh,
I had one big experience and then one small experience. The small experience I'd mentioned to Lissa was I was in bed. It was like during COVID where I was it was like a time when like I hadn't been touched in a very long time. I was alone for a very long time, and I was in bed and I felt like a man's arm kind of drape over me and then sort of slide off, and I kind of woke up and it was like I felt like the weight of a man's arm just like oh
ah,
like I was being little spooned.
I get
And
that. So that
yeah.
happens to me sometimes, but I always just attribute it to sleep paralysis.
I had
But
sleep paralysis really bad. I mean, I know sleep paralysis isn't like that's not
yeah.
paranormal, but boy, does it feel paranormal when
Oh,
you're
it's
sleeping.
scary.
Oh my
And
God.
the other night I fell asleep watching like fucking Witness starring Harrison Ford.
Sure.
And I'm falling asleep and I have a dream. I'm in REM sleep and I'm or about to go in and I have a dream that someone's passing me on the street and we make eye contact and I make eye contact with them, but they're just a black shadow. And they start to like walk up to me and then I feel like I'm being engulfed by them. And then I wake up in that same like sort of sleep paralysis and I feel like there's a weight on me.
Mm.
That's Sarah. They put their weight on you.
Yeah.
What the is it a hug? Is it how do you
Well,
know if
it's
it's ill-intentioned?
I mean it's you're in that state where you're like your breathing has slowed,
Mm.
so you can't breathe, so it feels like you're being like I don't know, but I do but that specific feeling of like being touched is I don't feel like there is like I don't think that that relates to just like
Yeah.
being in this dream state because I don't get touched in my dreams. I don't feel like I'm being touched in my dreams. It's all
Yeah.
visual and auditory or whatever.
Yes. Same.
Yeah, I had it.
Yeah.
I had a couple of. I'm just going to tell you this, and this is a little bit like sharing your dreams, but these were fucked up when I was like out of college. I kind of like was not working very much, and I was sleeping way too much, and so I would like wake up in the morning and then like just go back to sleep because I didn't have anything to do. A little depressed, and I would like from that would kind of be in the waking dream state, be frozen, and I like heard someone walking towards the my bedroom door. My bedroom was open, and then I literally like I felt someone like oh here's they were like throwing dimes down the hallway at the door,
Oh
like
no.
throwing change. And then I felt somebody sit at the end of the bed holding a handful of chains and sort of like bouncing a handful of change just at the edge of my bed. Oh, it was so creepy. And my eyes were open. I couldn't move. Oh my God. It's the worst. So those are my, I mean, those aren't like I feel like those do explain, I think, some paranormal experiences that people have where it's like I was abducted by aliens or I had an experience with a ghost. I feel like some can be explained with sleep paralysis, but not all by any means, I think.
No. Yeah. There's certain that's it's a cloudy part for me because like sleep paralysis can be so many things. Like another time, like I was sleeping in my fucking parents' house, and I had another dream that there was someone in my bed. Uh, and I turned over and it was this little creature that looked like they were made of bag, like burlap. And they had like a little like a knot of like where the bag was on their head. And it looked like a ponytail. And they were like they turned over and they waved at me. And I could like I got up like that like I couldn't yell fast enough
It's not
because they
right.
were literally right there.
That's
Yeah, I
so
was up for
scary.
I went downstairs and everybody was like, "Oh, you had a sleep paralysis dream? Yeah, me too." Like my whole fucking house is haunted. They all know this. Like I feel like it's all new to me. They all know. Like my brother claims that there's a creature in the basement, and I've glimpsed. I feel like I've glimpsed it. I feel like it's a bad energy of like Bob. It feels like Bob because I feel like I'm not seeing it, but in my head, like it's Bob from Twin Peaks. Like I picture denim. Like I picture like denim and bad intentions.
All right. Well, I
This
mean, it sounds
thing.
like you are
Yeah,
in
but I'm
touch.
afraid of it. Like I'm like even in my and Lissa's first apartment, there was an old woman that died there. And so every once in a while, and I'm pretty sure she probably told you about this, but like every once in a while, like when I'm in the state of about to go to sleep, I feel like I would see or like feel the presence of somebody like an old lady in a sundress. Didn't mean anything bad, just checking in. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, the paranormal shit for me is it's scary because like I know what my parents and my siblings have experienced and like I've only glimpsed it, but
Mhm.
I've never really had a full on like ghostly encounter. I've just known that it's possible. I just don't tip
I feel
my
like
yeah.
so do you feel like if you came face to face, like if you saw a ghost, would you freak the hell out or would you just be like, "Oh, that's what they look like?"
I don't know. If I have a bad feeling, I run away. And it's not even if I see something. If I see seeing is different, but it's like feeling for me is 99% of the job. Like
Mhm.
one Christmas we had dinner and I had because my parents are Italian, there was no vegetables. So I had the meat sweats. So I needed to go for a walk. And as I'm walking, this truck pulls up to me and they're like, "Hey, our dog's missing. Can you help us find Buckley? He's a Labrador. He went this way." And they like pointed, and it's like, "Oh, that's the park." Great. I'd love to do that. So I go into the park and I'm about to get into like the darkness, and either I'm scared of the dark or I thought I saw something moving. But I felt in my gut the urge to just run away. And that's what I did. Because I didn't want to stick around too long. For all
Mm-mm.
I know, it could have been poor Buckley covered in mud. But it was probably it was my parents were like, "You saw a shadow person," and I'm like, "I didn't see a shadow person.
I
I was
didn't.
just scared." Like I'm always the one who's trying. I'm the Scully, I guess, because I'm interested, but I need proof.
Hmm.
But if I have a bad feeling, like I've always been taught, just trust your gut.
Yeah.
And so far it hasn't failed me.
I was worried they were going to ask you to like get in the car with them.
Oh no,
Come
that
with
wouldn't
us to
happen
help us
there.
find our dog.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a time when two dudes in like in red jackets asked if I was who I am, and I was like, "No, I'm Steve." Uh, and then I was like, did they hear that I tried to do did they like I don't know. It was stupid. It was like in the middle of a rural park in New Jersey, and they're like, "Hey, are you Phil?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm Steve." And I ran home. I didn't have a feeling that time. I just thought I was being fun to pretend. But in retrospect, I'm like, those guys probably were going to beat me up. In retrospect, but
Yeah.
like, it was not the feeling I had when I walked into the park.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I think like it's good to follow those instincts. And I also part of me, and I can't really prove this, but I feel like part of me is like I think that if you saw a shadow person like in the corner of your room, like you'd be doing and you'd see it, it would take you a minute to sort of like understand what you were looking at. I don't think
Yeah,
I feel like sometimes people like it's sort of portrayed as you see a ghost and you scream because you know exactly what it is right away. But I feel like if I see like something kind of like there's there in one of the I made a like a compilation of like ghost evidence or something. And one of them is my favorite. It's just like on a stairwell, and you see just like a it's just like this sparkly like shape of a head and shoulders, and you can kind of just sort of you can totally see what it is, and it's very
yeah,
sparkly. But it's I would just look. I mean, if I saw that, I was standing there looking at it, and I saw it, I'd be like, "What is that? That's really cool.
right.
What is
It's
that?" And
curious.
I mean, it's a ghost, but like at the same time, like I think it would take me like when I had my so I had like a really I won't go into it because it's kind of a long story, but I also told it on last podcast on the left as a Mr. Pasta, so you can just go listen to episode
Yeah,
8.
yeah.
Um,
I know the story. This is a
yeah,
fun story.
yeah. So I'll link it below, but it was one of those things where it was the same thing where it's like this very weird thing happened and I didn't for a week I was just like it didn't occur to me that like there was anything weird about it, you know? So
Yeah,
it's an
yeah.
interesting thing about.
For sure. It's one of those things that like I don't necessarily know. Okay, I know it's all fucking real. I know it's all real.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to be as aware of it as I know other people are because I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah.
Like I had my I lived with my dear friend Leah Evans, whose friend Math is a ghost hunter or ghost not a ghost hunter. He's just interested in the paranormal. And
Yeah.
one time I was doing yoga in my room and I felt someone touch my back. Like they put a finger like on my shoulder blade. And she heard me scream because I was like, what the fuck? And you know, he there was a promise to investigate, but I don't remember the results. It was during COVID. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I blocked a lot of that out.
Mm-hmm. You were getting a little adjustment from the other side.
Yeah. They're just
Right?
giving me like, yeah, just fix your shoulders right there. Yeah. Um, yeah. So, I mean, all told, sure. Yeah, I guess I guess I believe, but I also am just a scaredy cat.
So you would never kind of go out and like go with a group of people to sort of try to find evidence.
Um, really depends. Maybe it would take a lot of cajoling, and I would probably not, I probably couldn't ingest any cannabis that day. I'd have to go in stone sober.
Yeah.
Like I'd have to really, it wouldn't be the fun, weird New Jersey explorations that I'm used to. It would have to be actually,
Serious
you know,
business. Yeah.
serious business.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, which was, you know, kind of defeats the purpose, but I get it. Yeah, I would do it. I would do it. It just depends. I just, yeah. Because
I want,
also,
yeah.
what were we gonna say?
I want to. I was just gonna say I want to, but you're
Yeah,
saying it was also what?
because yeah, it depends on the company.
Yeah.
Because if something happens to me, if something were to happen, if I were to experience something, I would at least want to know that the other people around could make sense of it in some way, or at least
Hmm.
could wouldn't be just like you're just, you know, uh, like Scooby Doo. They're always investigating, and none of them believe Shaggy and Scooby. They're always the first people to see everything, and everybody's like, "No, you didn't. You guys are just hungry,
Yeah.
or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck."
Right. Or the emotional intelligence to be like, oh, hey, like this, like there's a stopping point or there's a boundary.
Yeah,
We're not gonna,
yeah.
you know. So
It depends on the team,
yeah. All right.
is what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is, will you join my ghost busting team?
Oh God, maybe. Uh,
No, I don't. I have nothing like that in the works, but
all right,
if
good.
anybody
But
wants
if
to,
you
if
do,
anybody wants to give me the funding, let's do it.
yeah, I mean, I'll wear a camera and whatever those devices are that where you can
The
hear, or
spirit
like the
box.
beeps. Yeah,
Mhm.
the spirit box.
Yeah.
I just want one of those. So
So
I can.
yeah, so this has been great. That went very we talked a lot. This is awesome. So Phil, so where can people see you?
You can find me on the Instagrams. I think that's probably where on the most at Phil underscore Casale.
Hmm.
You can see me. You could also look up at Hell's Talk Show on Instagram. That's the official account of Welcome to Hell. It's a horror comedy talk show. We we're about to do our 13th anniversary show and then shoot a web series
Nice.
in the coming months. Yeah, kind of yeah, little. It's gonna be a little different, kind of like Larry Sanders meets Twin Peaks: The Return. At
Oh,
least
very
that's what I keep
cool.
trying to bill it as.
All right.
But
Well,
it's
I'll,
yeah, it's gonna
I'll
be stupid.
we'll make sure that we have people back on and to promote that and get a little piece of the action. Get a little previews.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes. And if you're going to hunt anywhere, just let me know. Give me some advance warning, and then I'll regulate my body before I go in.
Okay, so that's great. All right. That's it for us. Thank you so much, Phil. I really appreciate you giving your time and your effort. Weird New Jersey. Everybody check out you can get there's a website online also if you want to take a look at more things that are happening in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe and rate this on your podcast app if you don't mind. I'm the Paranormal Activity. I'll catch you in the next one.